Mexico City, November 23rd, 1927. A group of photographers are standing in a prison courtyard waiting for this firing squad to show up, which is already kind of unusual. Firing squads happen. Photography of it usually doesn't. But this day, somebody wanted pictures. A lot of them. The soldiers are all lined up there. Rifles are ready. Cameras are set up. Then there's a prisoner who walks in the courtyard. He's carrying a rosary and a crucifix. One of the photographers snaps a picture, then another and another. Prisoners even offered a blindfold, but he shakes his head no, because he wants to show courage, and then he's not afraid of them. And if you're standing there that morning, you're probably assuming this guy's done something pretty serious, right? Maybe he's a revolutionary, maybe he assassinated someone, maybe he was the leader of some armed rebellion, but he wasn't. You know what he was? He was a Catholic priest. And honestly, that's kind of where it gets interesting, because for the past year and a half prior to this, the authorities have been trying to find him, and they had no luck. Do you know why? Because he kept showing up in disguises. He was showing up as a doctor, as a construction worker, and he was showing up to people's houses and offering confession and doing mass. And the word spread all around Mexico City that there was this priest who would come in secret in disguise, and he would hear confessions and do mass. So he would come to a house at night in this disguise, and he would leave like a whisper, and he'd come back somewhere else and show up. And it started making noise around Mexico City, and they wanted to make a point about this priest. They didn't want to keep spreading the message of Jesus Christ during this time with the government. They knew his description, they knew he was in Mexico City, but they couldn't catch him. But that all changed on November 13th of that year. There was an explosion near the car of the former Mexican president of that time. Now the attack failed, but now they had their reason. They found him a few days later and they pinned this on him. And another man already admitted to being involved for this, but they wanted to make a point about this priest. So they scheduled a time for the firing squad, November 23rd, which brings us back to the courtyard, brings us back to the cameras and this priest that's holding a rosary. The photographers kept taking pictures. One photograph shows him praying, shows him extending his hands out like this, like a cross. His courage was inspiring. And at one point, he raises his voice and says, "Viva Cristo Rey," which means "Long live Christ the King." After the rifles fire, the camera stopped clicking. The photographs are spread all across newspapers in Mexico. And the funny thing is that the pictures don't disappear. People kept sharing them. Time passes, and people are really inspired by his heroism and his courage at this time to not back down from the faith. This priest's name was Miguel Pro. And 100 years later, people are still sharing that photograph of that morning. They remember his courage and his message about Jesus. And